So I cut there, and now we are doing Scrum. The two direct plays we run as forwards out of there, which is the pick play and the hammer play. And then off of that, also, even though we probably will not get to it at our next practice, we will talk about defensive responsibilities from various players in the Scrum, and also I guess we'll also talk about what you do once the ball gets out and thrown to the back line. How do we deal with that? So first off, we have the ball, the Scrum half. He feeds it in, and then hopefully our hooker hooks it back, gets it back to the 8-man, and then we will run one of our plays. Our pick and our hammer both start with the 8-man having the ball. This will be called beforehand, and the 8-man will tell the Scrum half, hey, let's run 8-man pick, or the Scrum half will say, hey, 8-man, let's run a pick. And then the 8-man will communicate with the 6 and the 7, hey, I'm running a pick, and I want to do it this way. I'm going to go either left or right. It's very important to communicate with that, because it does talk with it. And there's like various hand signals and kind of taps and stuff we do to designate that. That's better off gone over in practice. So I won't waste your time doing that here. But anyway, it is called, the 8-man is told the Scrum half, hey, I want to do a pick. Scrum half agrees, feeds it in. It goes back to the 8-man. Scrum half still goes back to behind the 8-man like his normal play, because the 8-man pick is not the default, it's the fake off of the default, so we still need to make it look like the Scrum half is going to grab it and throw it out. But instead, the 8-man picks up the ball, and then he either runs left or right. And let's say for right now he runs to the left. And just a heads up, we will likely not be calling left or right. We will be calling strong side or weak side. So just a reminder that the weak side is the side of the field that is smaller, and the strong side is the side of the field that is larger. So weak side, strong side. So he's going to call that instead. He's not going to call left or right. So if you're confused about that, you can go back to my pod video where I talk exclusively about what is the weak side and strong side concept. But so we're going to say this is a weak side pick because it's the shorter end of the field. And then once he does that, he is going to literally touch the 6-man, like either tap him on the butt as he passes, or slap his back or something. Let him know, hey, I'm here, we're going this way. And then he's going to follow and play support. Now, the 7-man in this one, or this guy would be the strong side flanker, they're doing the weak side pick. He's also going to follow, but he's kind of got to wait for when someone calls that the ball's out. Here's that he's going to have to run. So he's got to run extra fast, because not only did he not get the tactile signal that they are running the pick, but also he's farther away. So he's really booking it, and the 6-man's going, and then 8-man will hopefully gain some good yards, say up here, go into contact, and then we will have the 6-man right there to ruck, and then hopefully we will also have the 7-man there to provide the second rucker. Scrum half is also trailing, and then the Scrum half gets the ball, and then we can continue with our offensive plays. So that's just the 8-man pick. It's a very basic play, and we can just do that the other way too. So then we are going to go into our hammer play. This is very similar to the pick play. Just got one little caveat to it. So this one, same thing happens, goes all the way back, except the 8-man is not going to pick it up this time like our other pick. the scrum half is going to grab it, but instead of the scrum half tossing it back out, the scrum half is going to run the ball either to the weak side or the strong side. We will say it is a weak side again, so scrum half's going to run around and try to gain as much ground. And now the important part about this is the 8-man is then going out wide and is going to be a receiving option for the scrum half. So the idea behind this is that the scrum half is hopefully going to be taken out by whoever the first defender is. You probably would be, if they're paying attention, the opposing team's weak side flanker. Bam. And then once that happens, then he can just drop the ball off to the 8-man. Usually most scrums only have like 1, maybe 2 points of defense on a to avoid sort of these little scrum plays. So hopefully that takes out their defender. Then 8-man will have a lot of room once he grabs the ball to run because the defender has been taken up by that. And then same as the pick play, the 6 and the 7 are trailing behind to provide support. And then also, again, just because we have something planned doesn't mean it always goes right. So they're also making sure, hey, if the scrum half goes to ground with it because he couldn't get the pass off or there was some sort of issue with the 8-man not being positioned, they are then going to be the support for the scrum half. So that is our hammer play. It's pretty basic. That we run these, though, like 2 or 3 times a game. They are very good tools, especially for keeping teams on their toes. So, like we talked about earlier, about how the flanker was the kind of the defensive specialist. Their primary job is to prevent picks like that and gaining easy yards. So they're very loosely bound, and they kind of have to be. And if you're loosely bound, you're not really getting a lot of... You can still get a lot of pushing force into the scrum half and do a lot, but it's not as much as if you could just put your head down and just put all your force in. So our 8-man pick is really effective when they're not using their flankers what they're supposed to, and they're just trying to really steal the scrum and just put all their force in, really keeping all of their pressure in with their flankers, and then we can sneak around and get that. And it just keeps them on their toes. So that's the primary reason we run it. Also, forwards, they like to feel cool too and get their own spotlight plays, and that's a pretty big spotlight play. So I feel like I should go in a little more in depth about what flankers do, because I don't really think I went into it the other one very well. But flankers are the first line of defense at the scrum. And essentially, their job is to keep the other team honest when they are defense. So offensively, they have all their other roles, such as supporting the picks and helping push and all the other stuff I went over. But if the other team is feeding the ball, so let's say this is the opposing scrum half, he feeds the ball, or we lose, or however it goes down, they have the ball, it's back here. The flankers need to have their heads up and be ready to leave at a moment's notice, because they're trying to keep the other team basic, is essentially how it goes. They want to do all this complicated stuff, or they might want to do all this complicated stuff. We're there to make them basic as possible. So the scrum half has put the ball in, they have it, and this has gone all the way back, and they're back here on their 8-man. And so it's kind of we are going to be the first, wherever that ball goes, now that the scrum half has it, we are going to follow as the 6 and the 7. That is our primary job. So if this goes, so let's say they run a pick like they just said, they also run a pick play. Pick play is in basically every rugby team's repertoire. It will get run a lot. You will face it a lot. So they run their 8-man pick to the strong side, and then boom, our flanker is there to tackle him. Happens the other way, same thing. Goes up that way, our weak side flanker, boom, tackles him. So they did not gain any extra ground off of it. Our backs are all the way out here. Our fullbacks way back here. Other weak side wings all the way back here. So if our 7s and our 6s are not paying attention and that sneaks by, you can gain a lot of ground off of an 8-man pick. It just kind of introduces some chaos to the defense, and that will kind of prevent us from doing a lot of the things we want to do defensively. So it's very important that you're preventing that. Same if they run their variation of a hammer or some sort of scrum half pick, where the scrum half goes, same thing. Tackles. Now, that if the ball goes out, we did our job, and we want to keep them basic as well. So I don't think I need this anymore. So we will go to the macro view. So just pretend this triangle is 6 or 7 different dots that form the scrum, and we'll just have our flanker here. So scrum half has passed the ball out to their backs formation, fly half, inside center, outside center, wing. So ball has gone out, goes to the wing. You as a flanker follow that ball, and you are trying to get to this fly half. Now, and your goal is also, so your goal basically at this point is to prevent cut back channels. And you're gonna do that all the way until the ball stops. So you are going, so this fly half has the ball. We have our own fly half on defense coming up, and he has a very nice straight on tackle. All these guys are coming up in a defensive line. Boom. And we want to make sure that they can come up as straight as possible, because a straight up tackle is easier. So the flanker is following the ball so that this fly half doesn't try to be sneaky and go, oh, I can cut back into space, because our flanker is there. Or they may run a switch play, which is something as a forward we didn't go over, but if you were at practice when we taught it, it's when a player cuts behind another player and then tosses them the ball. Kind of a little mix-up there to try and confuse the defense. And you are preventing the cutback there. So they do the switch. You are the extra person there to tackle, so these makes their job easier. Let's say they don't run a switch, or nobody runs a switch, and they just keep passing the ball out. You are following that ball. Probably won't be, they're coming forward as well on this, so it probably won't be that drastic angle. It'll probably be more like this as they come up, and the ball keeps hitting each of them in stride. You keep following up until it gets to the outside, and you tackle them. And that may seem like a lot of running, but you're really not you're not there to make the tackle. If you are quick enough and they're passing the ball sloppily enough, or they fumble the ball, you can get the tackle, and it will be nice, and everyone will think you just did a really cool play, so that's great if you can do that. However, you're not expected to be faster than the ball. Like, if they're passing this correctly and catching it correctly, they will get it out. But even if you're not actually making this tackle, you're just going to keep following, because then these guys can't cut back in and confuse our defensive line. So you're making their job a lot easier. So that's kind of what a flanker does immediately after they do that. And then real quick, so we get the scrum half off. What do these guys do? Over here are tight 5 and our 8-man. So anyway, the other flanker's off doing that too. 8-man's also going up. They're just not expected to get there, but they're still kind of preventing cutbacks, and they're going to be the first people there defensively to, once the ball gets tackled, they will be up there, hopefully to set posts and be good defensive boys. What you do here as these guys is you just decouple, and then you all just drift as efficiently as you can over there, and they're going to have, their guys are going to do the same thing, fall up, and then you're going to meet up, and that's where all of our pods are formed and that sort of thing. Again, that's a lot, and it's not the easiest thing to explain. It's more something that just kind of has to happen for you to understand, but that should be the basics of our pick and hammer play, and then also defensive responsibilities off of a lost scrum.